Hello guys, welcome back to STEM Trainers. Now today we are going to see a very important topic, that is parametric equations. So let's first understand what are parametric equations. So equation of a curve where x and y coordinates of each point on the curve is given as function of a third variable, which we call it as parameter. So these type of equations are known as parametric equations. So basically what will happen is x coordinate of the curve will be a function of, let's say, t, and y coordinate at every point will be a function of, let's say, t, that is g of t. So whenever we are given a curve like this, these curves are known as parametric equations or parametric curves. So let's take an example. So for example, let's say you have x equal to t plus 2 comma y equal to t square minus 4. So as x coordinate is given in terms of t and y coordinate is a function of t, so this is a parametric equation. So there can be a parametric equation in log also. So they can give you something like this: ln of x equal to ln of t plus 1 comma y equal to e raised to power t. So we can have a curve like this also. We can have trigonometric parametric equations also. For example, x equal to some function of, let's say, sine of t plus 1, and y equal to, they can give you something like cos of 2t plus 5. So these are all examples of parametric equations. Now why do we do, first question is, why do we do parametric equations? See, basically what happens is there are some curves which are too complex to represent in Cartesian equations. But if we represent them in parametric equations, the equations become simple. For example, this equation. So in Cartesian equation, this equation is a very complex equation. The graph will also be very complex. But in parametric, it's easy to represent. So that's why we use parametric equations. Okay, so now the question comes, what is there in our curriculum? So in our curriculum, there are mainly 5 topics in parametric equations. The first topic is we have to convert parametric equation to Cartesian equation. Cartesian equation means y equal to fx, that we generally see, like y equal to sine x, y equal to x square, these kind of curves, y equal to fx curves. So we have to convert a parametric equation into Cartesian equation. We must know this. And in this, we must also know how to find the domain and range for parametric equations. As in function chapter, we have already done how to find the domain and range. So now in parametric equations, you must also know how to find the domain and range. So that's one topic. Second topic is finding points of intersection. So points of intersection means they can give you 2 parametric equations and they say find their point of intersection, or they can give you 1 parametric equation and 1 Cartesian equation and they will say find the point of intersection. Or sometimes in questions they also give you something like this: there is a parametric equation, find the points at which this curve will intersect the coordinate axis, that is x-axis and y-axis. So they can ask you these questions also. So that comes in points of intersection topic. Third topic is sketching the curves. Now there might be some questions directly where they will say sketch the curve, or it will be some part of a bigger question in which they will say sketch this parametric curve. So that is sketching of curves. Now fourth is differentiation. Now in parametric equations, you are required to know how to find the derivative of parametric curves. And there might be some questions involving tangents and normals, the equation of tangents and normals for the parametric equations. So this topic we will complete in differentiation topic. So when we will study differentiation, in that topic there will be one section in which we will do this equation of tangents, normals and dy by dx for parametric equations. Last topic is integration. Now you are required, when you sketch the curve, sometimes they will ask you for area under the curve. So and the curve will be given as parametric curve. So that this topic also we will do when we will do integration. So basically in this video, that is parametric equation video, we will do the first topic, second topic and third topic. Okay, so this is part 1. So we will do first, we will learn how to convert parametric equation into Cartesian and how to find the domain and range for parametric equations. Okay, let's start. So first thing is, if x is given as a function of t, that is x is p of t, and y is given as a function of t, that is q of t, and the Cartesian equation is y equal to fx, then the domain of fx is basically the range of function p, as you can see. So if you want to find the domain of this Cartesian equation and its equation is given in terms of parametric equation, that is x equal to p of t and y equal to q of t, then the domain is basically, we know this, domain basically means a range of values of x. So what is range of x? That is basically range of p. So that's why domain of f is range of p. Similarly, when we say range of a function, it means range of values of y. So what is y here? Q of t. So it means range of q will give me range of y, which will give me range of fx. So this is a very important point to remember. Okay, let's start the questions. My first question is, find a Cartesian equation for each of these parametric equations, giving your answer in the form of y equal to fx, that is Cartesian form, and also find the domain and range of fx. Okay, so let's try this. So they have given a parametric equation, that is x in terms of t and y in terms of t, and they have given a range for t also, that is from -4 to +4. So let's first understand how to convert a parametric equation into Cartesian equation. Now, there is no fixed rule of how to convert a parametric equation into Cartesian. It depends on the functions, what kind of functions are there. But in most of the functions, if it's possible to find the value of t from one of the equation, as you can see, we have two equations, x is in terms of t and y is in terms of t. So we have two equations. So if it's possible to find the value of t from one equation, then we will substitute that in the other equation to eliminate t. So that is our aim. Our aim is, using these two equations, we have to find an equation in which t is not there. That is, we have to eliminate the parameter. Okay, let's see. So what I will do is, from first equation, I can easily find the value of t. That is, t is x plus 2. And now I will substitute this value in the second equation, that is in y equation. So y is equal to t square plus 1. So t means x plus 2 whole square plus 1. So basically you can see how easy is this. Now this is my Cartesian equation. You can see this is in the form of y equal to f of x. That is, y is a function of x and there is no t. Just remember this, whenever you are converting into Cartesian, whatever your parameter is, that should not be there in the equation. Okay, so we have eliminated the parameter. So this is my Cartesian equation. Now next thing, also find the domain and range. Now we discuss this. Domain means values of x, range of values of x. So what is x? T minus 2. So basically we have to find, so I can simply say domain of fx is basically range of t minus 2. Right? And t is from -4 to 4. So we have to find basically range of t minus 2. Now, as you can see, when t is smallest, it will give me the smallest value of t minus 2. And when t is largest, that is 4, it will give me the largest value. So when t is from -4 to 4, the domain will be, when t is -4, it is -6. And when t is 4, that is 2. So this will be my range of values of x, that is domain. So my domain is -6 to 2, or you can write like this also. Domain will be from, my x values are from -6 to 2. Whichever way you like. You can write in set form also, you can write in inequality form like this also. Okay, now we have to find the range of fx. So range of fx means we have to find range of y. Y means we have to find basically the range of t square plus 1. And t is given as -4 to 4. So now you have to think little bit. Now there are 2-3 ways to do this. One is you can just think about it and using some logic you can answer. Or second way is if you are comfortable with quadratics. As you can see, t square plus 1 is nothing but a quadratic. So you can just make a quadratic graph and then you can find the range. Okay, let me do it in both the ways. And then you can decide whichever method you like, you can follow that. So first is I will use the graph. Now what is the graph of t square plus 1? So t square plus 1 graph is like this. This is my graph. And -4. So let's say this is -4. This is my +4. So this is my graph between -4 and 4. So we have to find the range. Range of this means minimum value and maximum value we have to find. Minimum value is this, right? When it is 0. So minimum value is at 0. So when t is 0, we get 1. So this point is 0, 1. Maximum value. So I think maximum value will be same at -4 and +4. So at 4 value, when t is 4, t square plus 1 is 17. So my range will be, that is my y values will be from 1 to 17. Now this we found out using the graph of quadratic. As we can see in graph, these are the y values that are possible for t square plus 1 from -4 to 4. So that's one way. If you're not comfortable in this, you can just think about this. How you can think about orally is, you can see that this is t square plus 1. So when will this have minimum value? So t square plus 1 will be minimum when t square is minimum, right? And the minimum value of t square is 0, right? So minimum value of y will be 0 plus 1, that is 1, as you can see. Same answer we are getting. Now, what's the maximum value of t square plus 1? When t is maximum, that is 4. So when t is 4, we get 17. So again, we are getting the same answer. So this is my range. So couple of ways are there and there is no fixed method because it will depend a lot on the function, what kind of function it is. And according to that, we might have to use graph, we might have to think about it logically. Lot of things are there. Okay, so we will do some more practice and learn about this domain and range and how to convert into Cartesian equation. Okay, so this was the first question. Now second question. Second question is, x is ln of t plus 3 and y is given as 1 upon t plus 5 and t is given as greater than -2. Okay, so this is what my parametric equation is like. Now I have to convert this into Cartesian form. So I need the function as y equal to fx form, right? This is my Cartesian function or Cartesian equation. So what I will do is I will try to find t value from one of the equations and then substitute in the second one. That is make the subject t in one of the equation, then substitute in other. And this method works in most of the cases. Not in every case it will work. We will see as we solve more examples. Okay, so now first equation, this is a logarithmic equation, right? And if you have studied logarithmic equations in year 1, you know I can convert this equation into exponential. If I convert this into exponential, what will happen is ln means this base is e. So this becomes e power x equals to t plus 3. Both equations are exactly same. No difference is there. So we can always convert logarithmic equation into exponential and exponential into logarithmic. So if you have done the log chapter or exponentials and logs, then you understand this. Okay, so from this, my t value is e power x minus 3. So this I will substitute in the second equation. What is my second equation? Y equal to 1 upon t plus 5. So y equals to 1 upon t. T means e power x minus 3 plus 5. So what is my y value coming here? 1 upon e power x plus 2. So this is my answer. Now as you can see, there is no t in this and y is represented as a function of x. So this is my answer. Okay, one more thing. So this is my Cartesian equation. Next they are asking for domain and range. So as we have done in previous question also, domain means range of x, that is range of ln of t plus 3. Okay, so basically you have to find range of ln t plus 3. Now t is given as greater than minus 2. So let's see what happens when t is minus 2. Let's see. If t is minus 2, what is my x value coming out to be? Let's see. So this is coming out to be minus 2 plus 1. Sorry, minus 2 plus 3. And what is ln1? Everyone knows this. ln1 is nothing but 0. So it means when t is minus 2, my x is 0. So if t is greater than minus 2, so my x will be, when t is greater than minus 2, it means my x will be greater than 0. Now why it is greater? Because it's ln t plus 3. So as t increases, my x value or ln t plus 3 will also increase. So that's why I can simply say my domain is x is greater than 0. I hope everyone understand this. Very simple logic I am using. We can do this in using graph also. You just draw the graph of ln of t plus 3 and then you can see this. But I think this is simple enough. Okay. Second is finding range. Now range means we have to find the range of y. This is my y. Now again I will do the same thing. As t is greater than minus 2, I will just first find when t is minus 2, what is my y value? Let's first see what is the y. So when t is minus 2, so minus 2 plus 5, this will come out to be 1 by 3. Okay. So now we think when t will increase, what will happen? So as you can see, t is in the denominator here. Y equal to 1 upon t plus 5. T is in the denominator. So what happens if denominator increases, the value overall decreases, right? Because it's 1 upon t plus 5. So if t increases, y decreases. So once I understand this logic, so I can write this also. If t increases, what happens? My y decreases. Okay. It means if t is greater than minus 2, then my y value will be less than 1 by 3. Because at minus 2, my y value is 1 by 3. And if t increases, y decreases. So y should be less than 1 by 3. Now, we have to think it will be less than. So what is the maximum value of t? T can go to infinity. So when t is maximum possible, y is minimum possible. So let's find that also. And you can see here, I think you might have done this little bit in lot of chapters. So 1 upon t plus 5, when t is very large means, let's say, approaching infinity. So what happens to y? Y will be 1 upon infinity approaching to. And what is 1 upon infinity like? 1 upon infinity is 1 upon very large number is nothing but 0. So my final answer here will be, as t is greater than minus 2, y is less than 1 by 3, but it will not be 0. So it means my y value is less than 1 by 3, but greater than 0. So as you increase t, y will start to decrease, and maximum it can go to 0. And 0 is obviously not possible because 1 upon infinity is not 0. We can say it approaches 0, but it's not 0. So that's why we have open here. Open at 0, open at 1 by 3. So this is my answer. This is my range. This is my domain. So this is how we use some logic, some graphs, and some basic understanding of mathematics and algebra to find the domain and range. And you can see there is no fixed method. Okay, there is again, I will say this for the last time, is the second method if you want to go for is you can just draw the graph of y equal to 1 upon t plus 5. This is nothing but an inverse graph. You can just draw this and then you can see what happens if t is greater than minus 2. What are the y values possible? So you can do that also. Okay, let's move forward. Now, third question is a curve C has parametric equations x equal to 3 over t plus 2 and y equal to 2t minus 3 minus t square, where t belongs to R. R means real numbers and t is not equal to 0. Of course, because it's 3 over t, so obviously 3t cannot be 0. If t is 0, this will become not defined. Okay. So a parametric equation is given. Show that the Cartesian equation of C curve can be written as this, where ABC are integers to be found. Okay. So now again the same question. We have a parametric equation. We have to convert into Cartesian one. So let's see the first equation. First equation is x equal to 3 over t plus 2. I will try to find the t value from this. So let's see how we can find. So if I take this 2 on left side, so I will get x minus 2 equals to 3 over t. How to find the value of t? So I can write like this also. If you don't want to write, it's okay. I mean, it's perfectly fine. So now what I will do is cross multiplication, or I can directly write t will be equal to, basically take inverse of this, t will be equal to 3 over x minus 2. Right? Cross multiplication. So this will come here, this will come here. Interchange. Whatever you like, or you can just multiply and then find the value of t. Whatever you like. I mean, I don't know how do you solve these kind of equations, but there are a couple of ways. Okay, I have discussed all of them. So t is this. Now we will substitute this t in the y equation. Let's see what happens. So y is nothing but 2 times t. T is 3 over x minus 2 minus 3 minus t square. T square means 9 over x minus 2 whole square, because 3 square is 9. So that's why I have written 9. Okay, let's simplify this and let's see what happens. So I can make x minus 2 whole square everywhere. So this is 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 into x minus 2 minus 3 into x minus 2 whole square minus 9. Right? By taking the LCM, I am simplifying this. Okay, let's further simplify this. So this will be nothing but, let's multiply this. 6 times x is 6x minus 12 minus 3 times x minus 2 whole square. So this will be x square plus 4 minus 4x minus 9 over x minus 2 whole square. So what is my y value? Finally, I'm getting 6x minus 12 minus 3x square minus 12 plus 12x minus 9 over x minus 2 whole square. It implies. Okay, now final value is coming out to be y equals 6x plus 12x. So that is 18x and minus 3x square plus 18x. And what is this? 24 and 9, 33. So minus 33 over x minus 2 whole square. So y equals to. So if I take minus 3 out or minus 3 common, what is left now? X square minus 6x plus 11. So basically I have taken minus 3 from every term. So whatever is left I have written for x minus 2 whole square. Now let's see what they were asking. So this is my Cartesian equation. Now they are asking, okay, x minus 2 whole square into a into this. Okay, so we have equation similar to this. Now we have to see what is the value of a, b and c. Okay, so my a value is coming out to be minus 3. B is coefficient of x, that is -6, and C is the constant, that is 11. So this is my answer. These are the values of A, B, C, and they are integers. Okay. So sometimes they can give you question like this also. Okay, let's try the last questions. Okay. So now parametric equations can also be given in trigonometric forms, as you can see in this. So x is given as a function of t, that is sine t plus 2, and y is given as a function of t, that is cos t minus 3, where t is some natural real number. And we have to find the Cartesian equation domain range. Okay, same question. So now, in trigonometry, whenever parametric equations are given in trigonometry, we don't generally find t and substitute in other equation. Well, you can do that, but that becomes little more difficult because there will be lot of inverse things and all. Okay, the easy way is whenever some trigonometric parametric equation is given, just remember the trigonometric identities that you have learned. We know that sine square theta plus cos square theta is 1. You know cos 2 theta is 1 minus 2 sine square theta. You know the value of sine 2 theta. Sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cos theta. You know tan square theta equal to secant square theta minus 1, etc. etc. All the trigonometric identities that you have learnt or that you know of. We might have to use that, and if we use that, it becomes little easy. So let me show you. As I can see that you have sine t and cos t here. So what's the identity involving sine t and cos t? That is this. Sine square t plus cos square t is 1. So what I will do is instead of finding t value, I will find sine t, that is x minus 2. I will find cos t. Cos t is y plus 3. And then I will simply say sine square t plus cos square t is 1. So it means x minus 2 whole square plus y plus 3 whole square is 1. So this is my Cartesian equation. And we know this is a circle from the circle chapter. Center is 2, minus 3, radius is 1. Okay. So this is how we solve questions based on trigonometry. Now next thing, domain and range. Again the same thing. For domain, I will find a range of x sine t plus 2. Now it says t is belonging to R, that is real numbers. Okay. So what's the range of sine t plus 2? We know this. When sine t is minimum, x is minimum. So sine t minimum value is minus 1. So I can say x is greater than or equal to 1. Now how do I get this 1? 2 minus 1. That is, or you can say minus 1 plus 2 is 1. And is less than equal to, what's the maximum value of x possible when sine t is 1? That is 3. So this is my domain. Domain, range of values of x. Now let's find the range. Same way, range means we have to find the range of y. So cos t minus 3. So when is this minimum? When cos t is minimum. What's the minimum value of cos t? Minus 1. So minus 1 minus 3 will give you minus 4. So y is always greater than or equal to minus 4. And less than equal to, what's the maximum possible value of this? When cos t is 1. When cos t is 1, we get minus 2. So it is less than equal to minus 2. So this is my range for y, or you can say my range for the function. Second way, as we already discussed, just draw the graph. Just draw the graph of sine and cos and then see what's the range. And you can easily draw sine t plus 2, simple transformation. And again the same thing, cos t minus 3, simple transformation, that is downwards by 3 units. So you can just see the range. Okay. Let's try the second part. Second part is x is sine t, y is sine of 2t. and t is from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, so we have to find the Cartesian equation, then domain and range. So first you have to see, okay, so this is sine t, and what is this value? Y. Y is sine 2t. What is sine 2t? Sine 2t means 2 times sine t into cos t. X is sine t. So now you have to think what you have to do to eliminate t using these two equations. So one way I can think is, if I have sine t value, I know how to find cos t also. So I can use that. So I can use cos square t plus sine square t is 1. We know this. So if sine t is x, what is my cos t value? Cos square t will be equal to 1 minus sine square t. That is 1 minus x square. So my cos t value will be nothing but square root of 1 minus x square. Now, one question that maybe, I don't know, maybe 10% of you might be asking is, sir, when you solve this, you always taught us that whenever we are taking square root on both sides, you always have to take plus and minus sign. But you are not taking minus sign here. So that's a very good question. It might come to your mind. So the answer for that is this. See, t is from minus 90 to 90. And what happens in minus 90 to 90? It means first and fourth quadrant. I hope you understand this. In first and fourth quadrant, we know that cosine is positive. It can't be negative. So that's why I am not using the negative sign here. I can guarantee you 90% won't even think about this. But these things are important. If some other range is there, then I might have to take the negative sign also. Okay, so I hope everyone understands this very important point. Okay, so cos t is square root of 1 minus x square. Now, I will substitute this in my second equation, that is my y equation. So y equals to 2 times x into square root of 1 minus x square. So this is my y value. So this is my function, Cartesian equation. I hope everyone understands this. These questions are different. You have to use different manipulation and different techniques. You can't use a single technique for every parametric equation. It depends on the functions. Okay, second question is the domain and range. So domain is easy because domain is range of x, that is sine t. So range of sine t is minus 1 to 1, right? In this interval, minus 90 to 90. Or if you are having some problem, what you can do is simply just draw the graph. So this is my sine graph. So this is minus 90, minus pi by 2. This is pi by 2. So in this range, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, what's the range of sine? Minus 1. This point is minus 1. This point is 1. So minus 1 to 1. So my x value is less than equal to 1, but greater than equal to minus 1. So this is my domain. Now range. So range means we have to find the range of y. Okay, what is y? Y is sine of 2t. And okay, so there are two things. Either you can just draw the graph of sine 2t from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 and then just see what are the possible values of y. Or we have this sine x graph. What is this angle? This angle is from minus 180 to plus 180, right? Because t is minus 90 to plus 90. So when you multiply that by 2, this angle becomes minus 180 to plus 180. So basically this whole graph. So what's the range? Minus 1 to 1. Again, it will be the same. So I can say my range is also from minus 1 to 1. 2-3 ways are there always. You can just use whichever you are comfortable with. Okay. Last question. X is given as cos t and y is given as 2 times cos t, and t is from 0 to 2 pi. Okay, so this is my parametric equation. Let's try to okay, let's just think about it. First is cos t and cos 2t. So is there any relation between cos t and cos 2t? Yes, there is. What's that relation? Cos 2t is equal to 2 times cos square t minus 1. I think this was the relation. Yeah, let's use this 0, 0. It will become 1 and 1. Correct. So this is my relation. Cos 2t is 2 cos square t minus 1. So let's use this. So I can directly write y equal to 2 times cos 2t. Instead of cos 2t, I can write 2 times cos square t minus 1. And y will become, and cos t is x. So this will become 4x square minus 2. A parabola. Quadratic, right? Quadratic means parabola. So we have this Cartesian equation. Now we have to find the range and domain. I think you can very easily find the domain and range. So domain means range of cos t. So I will just simply write it very fast. Minus 1 to 1. We know. And t is from 0 to 2 pi. That is open. Okay. I didn't see this part. Okay. It is open. So basically this graph is there, but this last values and first value are not there. This is important. 0 to 2 pi, these values are not there. So it should be less than equal to 1, not equal to, it should be less than 1, but it is greater than or equal to minus 1, because this minus 1 is possible, but 1 is not possible. Huh? Just be careful. This is a very tricky question. Huh? It's open interval, as you can see here. Values 0 and 2 pi are not included. So cos t is never 1. It's always less than 1, but greater than equal to minus 1. Okay. Range. So range means we have to find range of this. Okay, again the same logic I will use. T is from 0 to 2 pi. So 2t is from 0 to 4 pi. So if I draw the graph, okay, let me draw it again. If I draw the graph from 0 to 4 pi, it will be something like this. 2 pi, 3 pi and 4 pi. So this is 2 pi. This is my 4 pi. Now, in this, what will happen is, this 0 is not included. This 4 pi is not included. But this 2 pi value is included. So this 2 pi value is included. It means 1 is included and minus 1 is included. So my range will be from minus 1 to 1, and this time both minus 1 and 1, both values are included. I hope you are understanding these very small things. These small things carry 1 mark. If you do that close interval where it is not closed, you might lose 1 mark. So just be careful in this. Okay, so that's all for the first part. That is how to convert parametric equations into Cartesian and how to find the domain and range. Now in the second video, we will see the points of intersection as we discussed. So we will see point of intersection of two parametric curves, parametric and Cartesian curve, or a parametric curve with coordinate axis. So we will see this in the next video. Thanks for watching STEM Trainers.